Bonjour et bienvenue sur Tourisme Marimi, le podcast qui te fait découvrir les métiers et formations du tourisme. Cette semaine, on se retrouve pour un nouvel épisode en anglais car j'accueille le professeur Kaye Chon qui te présente la School of Hotel and Tourism Management, une université spécialisée dans le secteur de l'hospitalité, située à Hong Kong et dont il est le doyen. Il t'explique donc comment cet établissement met un point d'honneur à innover dans ce secteur pourtant très traditionnel, notamment par le biais d'un hôtel intégré dans l'école et qui permet aux étudiants de travailler à partir de situations concrètes. Puis il te partage sa vision sur les rêves et comment les réaliser, mais aussi et surtout comment savoir s'il faut persévérer ou bien passer à autre chose lorsque l'on échoue. Pour le découvrir, je t'invite donc à rejoindre ma conversation avec le professeur Chon. Hello, Professor Chon. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation. To start off, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you, Marie. First of all, thank you for inviting me, and I'm very happy to talk with you. I am the Dean of the School of Hotel and Tourism Management at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, where I also hold a chair professor and the Walter and Wendy Kwok Foundation Family Professor in International Hospitality Management.
That's really impressive. You've said you're the dean of this school. So, since when does it exist?
Oh, okay. I've been actually put in this position for very long. I came to Hong Kong in year 2000. Prior to that, I was a professor at a university in the United States, in Houston, in the United States. And I moved to Hong Kong 20 years ago to take up this current role. My position has been retitled several times. When I first came, it's same job, same position, but it was called head of department. Later, the department became school, and I was made the school director. Later, became the dean of the school. Basically, same position, same job over the 20 years, but title of the position has changed several times.
Oh, okay. So, you're not the dean as a student, you're the dean as a professor.
Yeah, he is the dean of the school, dean of faculty.
Oh, okay. So, can you just present a bit further about the School of Hotel and Tourism Management?
Yeah, the School of Hotel and Tourism Management was established 1979, so we are 41 years old, and offering bachelor's degrees in hotel management, also in tourism and event management. And we have a number of master's degrees also. For example, Master of Science in International Hospitality Management. We have Master of Science in Tourism and Convention Management. And also we have Master of Science in International Wine Management. Another very interesting degree is we have Master of Science in Global Hospitality Business. It's a very unique degree, which is offered in collaboration with one university in Europe and one university in the United States. So it's making a tripartite degree. The students are coming from anywhere in the world, spending one semester each in Europe and also in Asia and the United States and get a degree. So this is a collaboration with École Hotelier Lausanne in Switzerland and University of Houston in the United States. And then at the doctoral level, we have a PhD in hotel and tourism management, also a professional doctoral degree called Doctor of Hotel and Tourism Management. So we have a range of approximately 1,400 students. We have about 70 full-time faculty members who came from many different countries around the world. I think that's one big aspect of school, very international. We are in Hong Kong, obviously, but in our university, all the classes are taught in English. It's an English taught program. So my role as the dean of school is managing the school in terms of our students' admission, enrollment, their progress in studies, and also managing the faculty and staff members.
Okay, that seems really interesting, especially the tripartite degree. I think it's a really nice opportunity for students doing it.
Yes, this is one of the kind, very unique approach to education.
Yeah, I think so. It's really rare to be able to study in different countries in the same degree. So,
I think this degree was created based upon belief that, especially in field like hospitality and tourism management, the students need to really be globally minded and very cosmopolitan. So understanding different practices and perspectives in Europe, in Asia, and Americas is very important. And second, I think the students will literally live together for 3 semesters, 1.5 years. So they will build bonding, among them. And as the future leaders of the industry, it's very important that they develop this kind of network so they can work together in the future.
Yeah, totally. I couldn't agree more. And also, I think there is a hotel which is attached to the school.
Yeah, this is something very unique.
Indeed.
Our university supported our school's vision in creating new ideas. So we actually built our own hotel. So our school building is one building in which there is a hotel inside and also school inside. So everything is self-contained in the same building. The hotel is a very unique, very upscale hotel. Just as an example, in Hong Kong, according to TripAdvisor, there are more than 700 hotels evaluated in TripAdvisor. And this hotel, since opening 9 years ago, has been always ranked among top 5 hotels in Hong Kong.
Oh, wow.
Not only that, in terms of its profitability and performance, also always on top of the list. And it's very unique facilities. It is a teaching and research hotel, but also is commercially run. So many guests staying in the hotel will not even know that the students are behind the scene. These are the future leaders of the industry. They are practicing, and the hotel has 262 rooms, 3 restaurants, and swimming pool with gym, a spa, and a ballroom, and all the facilities. Basically, anything students need to learn about hotel industry are contained in this building. And the hotel has been doing very well simply because we are thinking differently. The hotel industry is a very, very old industry, as you know. The hotels have existed centuries and centuries. I always joke that even when Jesus Christ was born, hotels were so full in Bethlehem. So the parents couldn't find the hotel. So that's why Jesus Christ was born in a farm. There was no hotel room available. So hotels have been always existing. And because this is a very old industry, if you think about this, the older the industry, more traditional. The more traditional the industry is, less innovative. So hotels are not particularly very innovative. They are doing same thing, check in, check out every day. So we said we want to challenge this tradition. Our students are asked to raise the question of why. Why we have to do this way, or why not we do in a different way. So this is the way of teaching, and also that made a hotel very successful.
I see. That's really interesting to highlight this point that it's really difficult to be innovative in hospitality. But indeed, I think this school makes it, and the students have a dedicated place to practice on theory because I guess you still have classes in a classroom with a professor, but also on spot on the hotel. And what is the share of these classes? Is it 50-50, or you have 80% of the time you're in the classroom and the 20%
Oh,
in.
okay. Now, first of all, the degree programs we offer, as I said earlier, we have hotel management and tourism event management and so on. The students of hotel management obviously will have more, I think, involvement in the hotel. For
Mhm.
example, if they are taking class on, say, hotel revenue management, they will actually use the real data from hotel and then make some projections and then doing exercises. That's one example of involvement. Not only just doing things, basic things like front office management, they are present in the hotel, but we are actually in the back of the house. The customers will not even notice because if the students in revenue management is actually in the classroom, but actually using the data from last night in the hotel and doing research and then discussing,
Yeah, I
and
see.
then there are many examples. We have one restaurant in the hotel. Surprisingly, since its opening, this became one of the most popular restaurant in Hong Kong. So there was at one time there was a 3 month waiting list for reservation.
Whoa.
So if somebody's calling and said, I want to make a reservation for 3 people for dinner in this restaurant, the hotel would say that, well, today is 25th of September. Maybe next available day will be a Christmas date, 3 months from now.
Wow.
So first of all, there are so many phone calls coming in. So there was a suggestion by students in the class in discussion that because operators are so busy taking the phone calls, so we have to set up a dedicated call center just for this particular restaurant. And then also sometimes when you can answer the phone immediately, you have to take phone calls on voice recorded message. And then there was one very interesting suggestion that if there are 2 people are calling at the same time, one person is calling for reservation for 3, another person is calling for reservation for 2. Our conventional or traditional way of thinking is that 3 is better than 2 because 3 is 50% more than 2. However, under the circumstances, because hotel is so highly demanded, restaurant is so popular, if we sell a table for 3, because of configuration of tables, one seat will be wasted, will be left vacant.
Mm.
Therefore, if we sell to the person making reservation for 2 people, then we can split the table and sell to 2 parties of 2 persons each. Then we can increase revenue by 25%.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of logic. Then our students are kind of playing around in the classroom, and actually it works. So revenue is increasing as a result, and industry is looking at this. Wow, we never thought about this, and they are learning actually from students. So this is how the approach we are taking. Not only just students doing in the hotel, that's a very basic things. If the students are doing the practice in the hotel, of course students do that, but that's a very low level learning objective, but higher level is more doing research and innovating behind the scene. This is what we do in the hotel.
Okay. No, that's very interesting to see how it works. And you, as the dean, what is your role and missions every day? Are you still teaching, or are you spending more times to developing the school?
Yes, actually, in my position, because I have so many meetings and so many people I need to meet with from industry and so on and so forth. Actually, I don't have time to teaching, or actually, I'm not required to do teaching, but I want to teach because it's important for me to stay in touch with students. So, first of all, I teach one course every year entirely. And then for every level of class, for undergraduate, bachelor's, master's, and PhD, every year I teach at least one day so that I can have a sense of who our students are. And also at the same time, I want to share my vision and our school's philosophy so that all students will have sense of ownership of the school's mission and philosophy. But most of my typical days, I do attend many meetings, face-to-face meetings, online meetings, especially nowadays more online meetings. And then I had to also think in terms of strategic thinking and planning for the future. So this is how I spend most of the time.
Okay. That's really interesting because you're a professor and people call you professor, but you still have a lot of other things to do beside this. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's why I like to teach because people call me professor, and when I'm not teaching, I feel kind of strange that I'm a professor but not teaching. So that's why I try to do as much teaching as possible.
Yeah, so that's really your path. And how did you find that it is what you want to do in life? Like, how did you find that you wanted to teach and to be involved in the tourism and hospitality industry?
Actually, it started very young. I think it was when I was about 15 or 16 years old. There was one book I read, and that book really inspired me. The book was called Jonathan Livingston Seagull, written by a author called Richard Bach. Richard Bach's book on Jonathan Livingston Seagull is about the seagull, the bird flying over the shore of the sea, and the book is about this seagull trying to fly very high. And then, because the book says that every bird has distinctive characteristics, and then usually seagulls don't have the eyesight like eagles, so they cannot see things at night. Usually, their wingspan is not strong enough, so they cannot fly so high. But this seagull, called Jonathan Livingston, is challenging himself that, if I try hard, maybe I can fly like eagle. And despite all these challenges, he does, and he makes through. This book was so inspiring to me. As I read this book as an adult, it's more about self-consciousness. We all have self-imposed limitation in ourselves. We have to really break through that self-imposed limitation. That's what message. Anyway, that book was so inspirational. And then I was always looking at birds and imagining how far they can fly. And one day I was thinking that, wow, if I take airplane, where are the places I could go? And I was imagining all the places around the world that I wanted to visit. So my childhood dream was when I grow up, I want to make a visit to a minimum of 100 countries. That's my goal. When it came to going to college, I was thinking what profession could allow me to realize my aspiration. When I heard about hotel and tourism management, I was so intrigued. Oh, wow, that sounds so interesting. If I study that, maybe I can work in different places and travel to the world. Actually, that has worked. So that's why I went to study in hotel management for my bachelor's and master's and PhD. And then I worked in the hotel industry in the meantime and between the studies. So actually, one student asked me, "So have you realized your dream?" Yes, I did. The last time when I counted number of countries I have visited, I think it has surpassed 100, about 103 countries so far. So that was the reason I chose to study hotel management. But I never imagined one day I'll become dean. That was actually by accident because I was just researcher and a professor in the United States. I was doing well in my career. And one day, headhunter called me and said that a university in Hong Kong want to hire you as the dean of the school. I said, "You're kidding." Perhaps they thought my name sounds like Chinese from Hong Kong, but I'm not Chinese. Actually, I'm a Korean by birth. And then I said that I've been to Hong Kong as a tourist, an interesting place, but I never imagined moving and living in such a very busy city. And also, I don't speak any Chinese, I said. But headhunter said, "Of course, we know everything about your background." That's how the conversation started. And I winded up moving to Hong Kong a few years later. And now I have been in this position for the last 20 years.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. And it's so unique and so interesting because actually it all started with a book, which actually has no link with tourism at all. You just get inspired and make the story on your own. So that's really interesting in itself.
Yeah, I always speak to my students about dream. Some people think that dream is not a good word because dream is not real. But I said no, depending on how you look at it. Dream is something that you aspire. And then if you believe in the dream, and if you're working toward the dream, you can always achieve your dream. So I like the word dream. So I've been living my own dream, and I always have a dream. And I mean, when I think about my dreams, it's exciting and it drives me.
Yeah, that's really nice. And I think this message will speak to the people who listen to this podcast because actually I'm from France. And I feel like in Europe, or especially in France itself, we don't really think about dream, as you said. Not because maybe it's not real, but maybe because it's not serious to think about it. So, yeah, we're not really used to follow our dreams. We're more like, do a nice job, nice studies to have, yeah, a good position, etc. And sometimes a lot of people are giving up their dreams to follow the path their parents think are good for them. So it's a really nice thing to say to young people nowadays, I think.
I think you are absolutely right because it's not about France or Hong Kong. I think it's a generation thing.
Oh, really?
Younger generation, in my view, they are more looked after. More things are granted to them. Therefore, there is easily to be content with situation because the things are provided.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk to your parents or your grandparents, they always say that, when I was growing up, I had to always work harder to achieve what we wanted. So they were more driven by, their plans and their aspirations and hard work. But I think it's more a generation thing.
Okay, that's a very interesting point because I always thought it was more like a cultural mindset because when you search for inspirational quotes, it's always in English, like, dream big or something like that. But when you say it in French, like actually people never use this because it sounds really weird, really kind of too dreamy. So to me, it was really like, yeah, the problem is in the French mentality. We don't really pursue our dream, or when we do it, we only assume it when we succeeded. But we're too afraid to fail, so until we succeed, we don't talk about our dreams to anyone. So, yeah, I thought it was kind of the mentality in my country, or at least that's how I feel we deal with it. But if you think it's generational, I think it's a really interesting point of view.
Yeah, you are right because I've been giving lectures. I've been teaching in France. I was visiting professor at University of Angers.
Yeah.
For every year, I went there for almost 10 years, sometimes just 2 weeks, sometimes 1 month. And then I've been giving lectures in many other countries around the world, in Asia, in America, in South America, in European countries. One thing I discovered is that in this globalized world, it's amazing how similar the values these young people are sharing is. As world is becoming more globalized, I think there is a greater homogeneity in one sense because I think there is similar kind of interests, similar values, similar kind of problems young people are having.
Hmm.
So it is quite interesting to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are the thing, because you have visited over than 100 countries, which is a lot, and you're meeting a lot of people from different cultures, so it must be really enriching. So what is the thing that you are the most proud of today in your career?
Most proud? Oh, okay. Wow. That's a good question. I think as an educator, to me, the most proud moment or what is most rewarding is not what I achieved or what I was recognized for this award or prizes, but actually the seeing the students I taught changing and achieving their aspirations. I think it is really rewarding to see that. So to me, that is usually the proudest moment. Here's an example. A couple of weeks ago, one of my former students came visit me. One female student from Hong Kong. She received a bachelor's degree from our school. She said that during the study, she was very inspired by one my lecture one day about your career, your aspirations and passions, so on and so forth. So she just wanted to get a job and then work, but she said, no, I want to achieve a little higher goal. And then she started her career as a flight attendant for an airline. And then after flying for 3 years as a flight attendant, she applied to be a pilot. She passed the exams and then she was picked by the airline in Hong Kong called Cathay Pacific Airline and was sponsored by Cathay to be sent to a flight school in Australia for 1.5 year flight training, all paid for by Cathay. And she came back with a pilot license. Perhaps she'll become one of the youngest female pilots in Hong Kong. So I was very inspired by this story. And then this young girl who never thought about after hearing my lecture, she was inspired and she started having a dream and she achieved what she wanted to do. So whenever I encounter this kind of stories, to me that is the most proud moment.
Well, that's so nice to see that you can have such a bond with your students. And I think it's what helps also the students to achieve their goal as well. Because we spend a lot of time in school at the beginning of our life, or maybe later, because sometimes some adults want to study later as well. So yeah, I think it's really important, and it's nice to have professor you can look up to and also being able to speak with. So
That's right.
it's a really nice story. Yeah.
Thank you.
And on the other side, because you talked about this Jonathan Siegel, which had a lot of challenge to face. And what have been the most difficult time in your career, the hardest thing you had to face, and how did you do it?
Life is such that not everything you want to accomplish can be accomplished. And sometimes I think also it's important that we all recognize our potentials and also our own limitations. So I'm pretty good in making assessment of who I am and where I am, and then also draw the line of where I can challenge myself. So in my life, I've seen a lot of people challenging for something that they cannot ever achieve. To me, that's quite stupid for them to even think about challenge. Challenge means that you're not just challenging because you want to challenge. You have to see the horizon. You have to be able to see there is something called common sense. A lot of things in life are common sense, but there are people who don't have the common sense actually. So yeah, it's important that we do have the common sense. You can say this is how you see your own limitation or your potentials. I think that's very important. But sometimes things do not work as you plan. So that could be sometimes very disappointing or discouraging you. But after a while, you also realize that, wow, maybe there was a reason why that didn't work out. It meant to be that way. Maybe it was your destiny, right? So sometimes you are failing, but I think you shouldn't panic because maybe there is another reason why it didn't work out. So that's how I look at it. And I never look back and just look forward into other opportunity. I think that's very important.
Mm.
Now, more in direct terms, in terms of your question of what is most challenging time, I told you that we built this hotel here in Hong Kong, Hotel Icon. Those listening to this, you may want to look up on Google or any search engine, Hotel Icon, ICON. We named it Hotel Icon because icon is symbol, it's a very important symbol. We say that this is a symbol for the future of hospitality education, future of hospitality industry. That's why we call Hotel Icon. When we came with this idea and building hotel, it took 8 years to process. And that was the most challenging time because it was not, first of all, to mobilize such a large amount of money and investing from university required many communications and political communications, many meetings. But that was expected. And then there were other challenges, such as, like in France, universities, government universities. So our university is government university, and government thought this is a great project for education. So they wanted to give the land to build a hotel free of charge, the government land. Immediately as the hotel construction was announced, wow, there was unexpected barrier. That is, many hotel owners in Hong Kong were very resenting. They said that, come on, when we build hotel, we have to pay millions of dollars for the land. But why the university is not paying for the land? So they were lobbying the government not to give the land to university to build a hotel.
Mm.
That was one example of challenge. So even how we overcame the challenge, I spent hours and hours of time making a visit to these hotel owners in Hong Kong and explaining and also sharing our aspiration, why we are doing this, what will do this for the future of the industry. And the industry friends were very persuaded. And then at the end of the 1 hour conversation, sometimes over lunch, they asked me, wow, what do you want us to do? And I was literally saying that, would you please write a letter to the government to say that we'll not complain? So go ahead and approve this. So eventually, they all supported the project to make this happen. So it was very challenging time for me in this political process,
Mm.
but at the same time, at the end, it was happy ending and most rewarding project I accomplished in my career.
Oh, that's really interesting. And also, I just want to highlight a point you said is that there's kind of a part of destiny. Sometimes when you fail, it's like kind of meant to be.
Uh-huh. You have to accept.
But if we really think that through, it seems like you can't really have an influence on your life. You just have something written for you and you follow the path. But sometimes, as you said in this challenge, you have to persevere and yeah, to talk with people and you have to convince them that you really believe in your project, that will benefit from a lot of people. So, how do you know when you have to make more effort to make it happen or when you have to accept that you failed and stop?
I think that's what I said earlier. It's hard. To me, that's common sense. It's a common sense judgment you have to make.
Mhm.
And then I think there is no one formula for different situations, I think. yeah, every situation is different.
Okay, I see. I really like this way of thinking that sometimes if something doesn't work out, you should not make a lot of it and just go for the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work out, don't panic and don't try to push it through because it will not work even if you do that, right?
Hmm.
So we have to make a common sense judgment and then quickly answer that this is something you can continue to pursue and persevere, or this is something that you have to just forward and then move on to another one.
Yeah, I like this process. And just to conclude, because I've been on the website of the school and I've seen that you accept exchange students. So, if a French student would like to apply to an exchange program at the School of Hotel and Tourism Management, how can this person can do it?
Yeah, sure. First of all, actually, our school has quite a number of French students at the bachelor's and master's program. Even in doctoral degree, we had the French students. And there are two kinds of students. One is who are coming to study Hong Kong full time. And it's interesting that more and more we saw students coming from France and other European countries coming to our school. If I ask them, what made you to come to study here in Hong Kong? Common answer is that, well, if you look at what is happening in the world, I think definitely the center of gravity of hospitality and tourism industry is moving to Asia. So they
Definitely.
want to learn more about Asia and then more about China. And Hong Kong is kind of soft China. You can learn everything about China, but not being in mainland China, but in an international city of Hong Kong. I think that is attractive to them. That's one.
Hmm.
Secondly, we have also students coming on exchange, one semester exchange. We do have exchange partners in France. For example, I mentioned earlier about University of Angers,
Yeah, exactly.
and then also we have students coming from Schema Business School in, I think, Sophia Antipolis. And then we have students coming from, I think, it's La Roche Business School. And then we work with one school in Paris, this hotel school Ferrandi.
Oh, yeah, I know it. Yeah.
They are also sending students to us. So we do have number of student exchange partners in France.
Okay, nice.
But we certainly welcome our students from France to come to study Hong Kong. Furthermore, if you look at our website, there is something very interesting. It's called Micro Masters. What is Micro Masters? We are offering master's degree, but a part of the master's degree, four courses, four subjects out of 10 courses offered online, actually free of charge. There are about 20,000 students from more than 190 countries enrolled in that program. So any students can sign up, but if they want to take the courses for credit so they can get real master's degree later on, they have to pay a small fee, something like less than 200 euros per course. And then they can transfer the credits to master's degree either to our school or other schools. So that will give an opportunity for anyone in France or in Europe who want to study in Hong Kong can take classes from our school.
Mhm. That's really interesting. It's another really innovative point, I think.
I think so.
And when do the classes start? Is it in September or in April, like in Japan, for example?
No, in Hong Kong, our academic year is from September to May. So in 1st of September, we are starting first semester, and it's lasting until around middle of December. Then we have about 3 weeks of winter break, and then the second semester starts usually around 7th of January, ending first week of May. That is how we operate.
All right, that's perfectly clear. I will link everything you said about the academic year, how to apply, etc., in the description of the podcast. And I think that's all for me. It was really interesting. Do you want to add something?
No, okay. It has been a pleasure to talk with you. And I want to end my interview with my favorite quote. This is a quote which has led my life through. Is the quote of Eleanor Roosevelt, who said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Now, what that means to me is that if you have a dream, you have to believe in your dream. And then you have to work toward that dream step by step, and the future is yours. So I think, as I said, I believe in dream. I'm a man of dream, living the dream. I hope that many young people will have a dream and then believe how beautiful that dream is and work hard to achieve the dream. And then the future will become yours.
Oh, that's the perfect end. Thank you very much. I was so happy to be able to talk to you today.
You're almost welcome, Mary. And I hope to meet you in person again in future.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope I'll be able to go to Hong Kong one day and see this famous hotel icon.
Yeah, please. If you do visit, please do let me know.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Merci de t'être rejoint à cette discussion avec le professeur Chon, j'espère qu'elle t'a plu. Si c'est le cas, tu peux nous le faire savoir en t'abonnant et en likant cet épisode. Si étudier à la School of Hotel and Tourism Management en échange ou même pour un cursus entier t'intéresse, consulte les notes du podcast, j'y ai listé pas mal de ressources. Tu peux aussi rejoindre notre conversation sur la poursuite de ses rêves en m'envoyant un DM sur Instagram, mon compte est également dans la description. Sinon, on se retrouve dimanche prochain pour un nouvel épisode de Tourisme Marimi. Salut!